Welcome back, bantwana benkosi, bantwana bahle, bantwana begazi.
Ufundile mfana wami.
Dino General Bantubonke Holomisa. Kumkani. Nkosi
manje ndiyokumkani.
Awuyona kumkani?
Hayi ndikunozithethana mfondini.
Oh, okay.
Ngibambisa manje.
Kaloko Holomisa is Chief Stancy.
Yeah, but the heir to the throne, as you know, is a son to Ndaba. So I'm not on the right.
Welcome to Power Talk, General.
Hey, thank you mfondini. Ndiyavuya ukubona manje ndakugqibela ngoko ucule stadium. Ngoko sowulapha ngoko.
Ya sasibetha kaloku ipoint of order phaya.
Sasishaya. Sayiqala eMarekane. Ekhumla ndiyoncedisa pha. Ukulaunch yenu sa deliver message. I still remember I said to Chuchu, you've got an opportunity for the first time you'll be launching your party live. Please man, read your message kahle. Ukumyeke umsholosi lo. Miyeke. Let's convey your message. Hey, what? And then he started read 3 pages. And then he put aside his speech. And wabuya zakusuma. Still remember that day.
Yeah, it was a great time. And I think the country hasn't quite reflected about what went wrong in Marikana and what ought to be fixed about the consultative process between the bosses and the workers. The conditions of the miners and all of that. It's an unfinished business, Lando.
It is. It's an unfinished business, both in terms of cases which have not been disposed of. But on the other hand, people promised there that they would build houses, schools. But you find that there was no cooperation between the mine workers and unions as well as the mining companies and also for the government to provide infrastructure. So they still owe us something.
70 years, General.
Yes, mfana wami.
But you still look like a young man.
I'm at 7th floor.
7th floor.
Yeah.
But you still look like a young man. Huh? Can you carry an AK-47 still?
I can still do parachuting. Remember that in 1981 I joined the parachute course, which was done by our special forces in Port St. John's. So I have 51 jumps, day jumps, and also 10 night jumps. So I can still parachute. Well, carrying a gun is in my vein. I can carry it anytime, especially mouse or gas.
And operate it. Just take the younger listeners, because we can't take these things for granted. Bantubonke, where did you grow up and under what conditions? And this decision to pursue a military career?
Well, Bantu Holomisa, as you have already said, is 70 years. I was born on the 25th of July, 1955. Grew up in my village called Mangam, and then went to school. And then that process culminated into finishing my matric at Jongilizwe College, a college for sons of chiefs. When I left left school, I left with 2 certificates, the ordinary standard 10 certificate plus a certificate on leadership. The courses which were taught to us for leadership included, among others, current affairs, conduct of public affairs, African law written by SIMA, it's a university prescribed textbook, and then introduction to public admin, where you are taught office routine, typing, and so on. So the aim was to make sure that if you become a leader immediately, you must be able to manage your office. And also also did the introduction. We did courses on bookkeeping, so that you are able, if you collect money as a chief, you are able to register. You have a ledger, you have a trial balance, you will have a cash book, and then. So that was the education I experienced, and then 1976 January was at post office. I was employed at post office. So in fact, I was employed in December 1975. So what we did at that school as students, we were sent to various towns in South Africa to do practicals. So there somebody came from post office and they interviewed us, and other departments, other colleagues of mine were employed in other departments. But that was subject to whether we will pass the matric. And then 2nd January, I was reporting at post office to start working. While I was at post office, I didn't finish even 6 months there, because the Transkei government, the homeland of Transkei, was preparing to be independent, an independent state.
Yeah.
And as a result, the Transkei government sent people for military training in Pretoria or South Africa then. I was only approached around March, April, by the colleagues of mine whom I was at school with, but they were my seniors. They said to me, "No, man, you need to come to defense. You will play rugby and you will be playing for Transkei colors. You'll get Transkei colors, you'll be fit. Just stay away from this nonsense of post office." So I joined the army at the time because I wanted to achieve those Transkei rugby colors. I'll be fit. Joined the defense in July 1976. The rest is history.
But you had this moment in 87, because you then rose in the ranks up to the head of the army. Abantu xa bebona umkhwanazi with his special forces uniform and saying, "I'm blowing the whistle." You had a moment like that in 1987. Just take us through it.
Oh, wow. You're referring to the method, unorthodox method we used to ascend to power.
Otherwise known
as a coup.
As a coup.
Oh, yes. In 1986, President Matanzima appointed appointed a commission of inquiry to investigate the corruption in Transkei government. The Prime Minister was Chief George Matanzima, his brother. The main one was the corruption which engulfed the purchase of tractors from Austria. Unfortunately, the name of Chief George Matanzima, was the Prime Minister, was mentioned on a number of occasions. At some stage, K.D. Matanzima, I think 1986, he retired. So there was another president, President Damase, and then Chief George Matanzima continued to be a prime minister, and those commissions of inquiries were continuing. And then myself, General Matanzima, General Mqwebi, and Colonel Duli, we had coffee at the officers' mess. And there was a feeling that there's state of anxiety, because the public is aware that when the commissioners are saying it is Mr. Makidigit and another Transkeian who embezzled these funds, the public was aware that another Transkeian is Chief George Matanzima. So we took a decision to go and meet Chief George Matanzima. to ask him to manage his exit in a dignified way. So but those guys who came to who called me to the officers' mess, if I'm not mistaken, or in my house, these three guys, Mqwebi, Mqanduli, and Titima Tansima, they said to me, we should remove this government. Titi, how are we going to do that? Who's going to do that? I said, no, guys, I'm fresh from detention. I was in detention for 3 months, January 87 up to March. I'm not prepared.
Why were you in detention?
That was related to security concern by them. But it turned out that it was a conspiracy of Reed Daly, one of the Stella scouts who was training Transkei Defence Force and his team. But what happened then after they presented this case to me, I said, let's go and see Chief George Matanzima. And then we called him. Then he was in Butterworth in his house. I broke the news, but not to say he must, we're taking over. We said, Daddy, we're here as your children. We're here to advise you in the spirit of non-interference. But you must know what is the public is thinking about your involvement in the commission. Then he confirmed that when they say they are referring to another Transkei, they are referring to himself. And then I said to him, why don't you manage your exit? Resign, and then you allow your Transkei Independence Political Party, TINIP, to elect a new Prime Minister. Chief George agreed. He said, Bantwana Bam, thank you very much. I will do that. And then he said to us, but he has to go to Pretoria and inform Pretoria and thank Big Water because they've been helping the Transkei government financially. And then we said, Daddy, that's your terrain as Tina. And then indeed we left. Fast forward, 4 days later, we heard that on a Monday he left for Pretoria. But 5 days later, he was not coming back. And then these officers, we were planning this together, came to me, rushing in the office. They pressed panic buttons. And they were asking me, what if Chief George has gone to Pretoria to ask for Pretoria to arrest us? And then we started to say what should be the plan B. Then plan B, same day, I think they were in my office around 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, by 10:30, we had already taken a decision that we'll prepare letters of resignation wherever he is. And then we tried to locate him in his farm in Transkei, and we couldn't find him. Then there were other ministers and DGs who were implicated in that corruption scandal of Australian tractors. Then 6:30 in the evening, we mounted roadblocks around Mthatha, and then the soldiers went to their homes for them to sign that resignation. That operation went smoothly, and Chief George was nowhere to be found. Around 7 p.m., Chief Pigwater called. General, we understand that there is a coup in Transkei. And then I said to him, no, there's no coup here. Chief George Matanzima came to see you. Is it not so? Then, yes. Didn't he tell you that he is resigning? Yes, he said so. So, where is he now? Why are you keeping him in South Africa? And then we said, no, there's no coup, relax. So the Transkei Independence Political Party, who have already announced will elect their own Prime Minister. but we are not going to compromise for those who are stealing monies, which is destined for the poor. This region this region's infrastructure needs to be developed. And then I silenced him. Fast forward, Chief George left. Nkosazana Stella Sigcau was elected by her party. Unfortunately for her, 87 days later, we got bank statements that they were paid by Sol Kesner an amount of 2 million for the entire cabinet for exclusive gambling rights. Each minister got 50,000.
Which was a lot at that time.
Yes. Then we toppled the government. That's how it was, so simple like that.
It was a corrupt government.
Yes, Babemosha. You can't buy the entire cabinet. Amasela. Khona lalabeni manje ndigilana nawo apha eParliament kulokurhulumente 1994 ndithi hey abasele.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. On Power 987, we're with the Deputy Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, General Bantu Holomisa. When the sort of transition started, Mama Winnie tells of a story that upon Mandela's release, there were security concerns around him. Seemingly Umkhonto wesizwe couldn't rise to the task of his detail and profile, and you were robbed in.
Yeah, I remember it was 1995 days after Madiba was released. So I came to pay respect and looking forward to meet this famous person. Then Madiba came out of his house.
Was it in Soweto?
In Soweto, and then he welcomed me, ushered me to inside the house. Whilst we were still there, Winnie came from town, and then she said, "Bantu, there's one thing which we cannot allow which we will not allow is for FW de Klerk to provide security for Madiba. So we ask you to provide security, and until MK is back in the country."
I see.
So that was February, yes. And then we provided the security immediately, phoned General Matanzima, and then the following day our members of the Special Forces were around. And then we also asked the Pretoria Embassy that the family of Mandela and ANC, which you are talking to, says we must provide security. So we want to clear the person who are going to deploy there with weapons and so on. And they will be traveling all over the country. So all those rallies, even the one where he said throw the spears into the sea in KZN, the security there was manned by Transkei Defence Force, Special Forces, and then they were working with some underground structures and people like Mo Sheikh. He nearly blew up the whole operation. He was too excited. So we didn't bring those weapons for the Special Forces in the open. We said, all right, get inside the stadium with this buggy and so on, nicely. And then our troops will be wearing overalls inside there, like they are cleaning or training and so on. Then he was stopped by police, Mo Sheikh, before he entered the stadium. And then they opened the boot and they found weapons. So they took him straight to police station. And then the brigadier there called me, And then I said, no, I'm aware about those weapons. If you want further information, contact Big Border.
Yeah.
And always a thumbs up. I never talked about this to anyone, but they were let in.
Okay.
So yes,
We
provided.
Let's take the headlines, Bantwana Benkosi. Stay tuned. We're in a conversation with General Bantu Holomisa, who turned 70 years on the 25th of July. The headlines by Nyakalo Tefu.
Stay informed. Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, 9 a.m. to midday on Power 98.7.
Welcome back, Bantwana Benkosi. We are still with the General Bantu Holomisa, who is the Deputy Minister of Defence and Military Veterans here in South Africa. If you want to join this conversation, 0861987000 is our studio line. We'll take your calls for you to interact with birthday boy. 70 years. We busy on the 7th floor. Let's go back, General, a bit in the 80s. Very important events there. But did you have an interaction with the leadership of the ANC in the 80s?
It was in 1988, January, when I sent the senior officers of the then Transkei Defence Force to Wavecrest Resort, which is along the wild coast in Transkei. The discussions for them, I didn't attend it. I asked them that now that we are in charge of Transkei, what kind of politics are we going to speak? Because whether we like it or not, we will be affected by the politics around. And they came back from that conference, that meeting, from a rank of a major up to brigadier. Came back, General Matanzima and Brigadier Keswa came to report to me on a Monday in my office. Sir, decision by the officers is that we must inform ANC, PAC, Madiba in Robben Island at Victor Fester. And then I asked them, why in particular? Who knows those people? How do you get to the ANC offices? ANC and PAC are banned. How do you go there? Sir, we have come here to report to you what was the decision of the soldiers. How you managed to go there or communicate with them is your duty. They saluted and they left. And because Nama was not, was taught by teachers like Dumis and Seveza, the activists, so I had to do a little bit of reshuffling around, and then I ended up contacting Professor Mapute, who was a lecturer at University of Transkei, and late Dr. Zada, Dr. Dabula. They facilitated the whole thing. Then also had an opportunity, of course, after that, the response from those from Tanzania, from Lusaka, we sent late Colonel Mkalali. In Tanzania, we sent Brigadier Keswa and Brigadier Matanzima. They came back and reported that everybody is happy with this arrangement. But the message was clear to them that we are not going to use Transkei as a springboard to attack South Africa. But in terms of free movement and so on, but not to use Transkei. Now, fast forward, I met O.R. Tambo and President Mbeki in London, in his home. And they briefed me how they see things unfolding. That meeting, I think it helped us because I heard it from the horse's mouth and to the leaders who are busy with trying to start negotiations and so on and so on. So I was one of the homeland leaders who was ahead of everything, and also having the background of my education at school, where you do current affairs, you analyze political situations of South Africa and the world over. I still remember as if it was a few years ago when Dumisa Nsebeza, our teacher, would give us an assignment at Jongilizwe College to say, let us analyze as to whether Henry Kissinger, who was the Secretary of State of USA, would succeed in his trip to Egypt to talk to Egypt and Israelis during the conflict period. So, but we were exposed to a number of material, including banished books at the time. And then I also had the privilege when I was doing the staff course, military staff course at the Army College in Pretoria. We were two first blacks to have been accepted in that school. There also were exposed to unbanned books which were not, which were banned. So, in other words, in terms of the meeting I had with OR and President Mbeki, it helped me. It helped me. And then I briefed the officers, guys, in line with what you said in January 1988, this is what is taking place. Of course, the 1988-89, Lusaka asked the internal leadership of ANC, like Winnie and others, that we must prepare for the reburial of King Sabata Talenjep. This is where the likes of Peter Mkaba, Bulelani Ngqungqu, and many others descended to Transkei for that. And I was in that funeral, reburial funeral. They were saying, ANC is unbanned, yes, ANC is unbanned, carrying their flag. The day, banjani abantu madoda bavele bafika bazi unban nje ukhona. But ke of course kwase kudala sisincokola ulento uchwethe as a result of this cooperation ka 88 uzofona phango 1 a.m. and he says there's a parcel coming. I beg a phansi phone. You know that parcel? The following day, I'll be the Commissioner Kawe, General Kawe, Mapois. Did man? We understand Mama Poisa wako afuna machocho, a bribe abantu with roadblocks. No, I'm not talented. No, I'm not interested in stories. But be reminded that this country is run by soldiers and we're fighting against corruption. So from tomorrow, we draw all your police send them for retraining in the roadblocks. No more roadblocks.
To make way for the parcel.
Make sure la parcel angiyano bisuke tele bridge isuka eBay isuke eMonti or isuka eSwazi kaseThekwini. It was tough, but at least one can smile about the contribution which Transkei government did.
Before we depart from the 80s, I will come back. Very terrible era of often called black on black violence. Upon the release and the unbanning of political parties, it intensified from 1990. What in the deaths, squads, in the arming of some groups in the townships, particularly PWV, as well as the Midlands, were you involved with Chris Hani and Mama Winnie to try and have people have the capacity to defend themselves?
Yes, it was in 1990 when the so-called black-on-black violence broke out on a big scale. I remember when this thing started, I was called by Madiba, and then I flew up, went to his house in Soweto. The calls were ringing right through the phones. And he said, let's go and inspect these killings. Others were bent down, with charred bodies. I remember we passed Jomo Sono's garage. It's not far from Madiba's house. So Jomo came to us and said, no, stop. Madiba, Mr. Mandela, please don't pass here. And then Madiba, Jomo, how are you? You played a good football. I remember we always listened to radio in jail and so on. Well done. Madiba just wanted to talk about sport. Jomo says, no, you can't go beyond this point because the people are killing each other here. And then, all right, Madiba says, thank you very much, Jomo, thank you very much. Bantu, let's go. Siyawalka, silandelwa nje i-bodyguard ngemoto, siwalka. Then we began to see these bodies. Now I was panicking. What if Madiba is killed here? And people will say, what was he talking about that with the Bantu stand? Bekwenzekani? Ngokuhlelo mesebenzani ba?
Infiltration,
He planted. Yeah. So we walked along the street, and then we saw two groups. Abanye bafaka iduku ezimhlophe, abanye ezi-red. And then when they saw ukuthi is Madiba, and then they start ululating, Amanda, this and that. And then they both group came closer. And then Madiba says, what are you doing? Now that we are free, you are killing each other. Who sent you to do this? Those who were wearing red, they were dubbed as Zulus or with IFP, sympathetic to IFP. Those who had white dukes were associated with ANC and their Xhosas and so on. So we stopped them on that day. Then we went back, and of course we protested to Big Border that they are in charge of this country. This violence must stop. So we went to Pretoria with other leaders. Then it became quiet, but again it surfaced. At that stage, President Zuma, I think he made a mistake because he was leading a delegation at that stage to bring everybody from outside to come and be back at home so that negotiations can start. But the mistake I think he made and his committee was not to allow, was his failure to allow the leadership of the ANC to come back with their protection. They came here from exile without carrying a pistol. They were just carrying their briefcases. Now, when de Klerk unleashed the so-called black-on-black violence, the people of the township, rural areas, they were not protected. And then this was a scheme which was designed to make sure that the leadership of the ANC, PAC and others is undermined. Because when people are being killed and the government says it's the ANC which brings the violence, we've been here peaceful, living here peacefully. So as a result, O.R. Tambo Mr. Mandela, Tatu Sisulu, Tatu Mqwai, Motsoaledi, Kadimeng, forgot other one.
Mbeki,
Governor Mbeki and Raymond Mhlaba.
Mhlaba.
They came down to Mthatha. Then they met myself, General Mqwebi and General Matanzima. Subject matter was about what is your reading of what is happening under this so-called black-on-black violence. So we unpacked it to say to them, de Klerk was gambling. He thought that he would unban you, bring everybody home, but still continue to be the president. But the best now we can do is to appeal to international community that they must come and monitor this violence. As a result, the OAU at the time came up with resolutions to say the international monitors must be sent to South Africa. Indeed, that resolution was sent to the United Nations Security Council. I was invited by Madiba and Philip Mahlangu to accompany him to UN to address the UN Security Council. We did, we succeeded. Pig Border was leading Nkosi Buteles, Nkosi Mangope, Qozo, and all as new homelands, which were opposed to that. But we succeeded. Fast forward, all the chairpersons of the ANC at the time, PAC in South Africa, went to Transkei to ask for assistance. So we give them permits, they can go and purchase their weapons. So mabeshayo bangathi amen uthi madeyu sakluko sika sibanibani yakwazi ngumChristian
Give the other cheek.
So in a way, but it was painful. We had to hire buses here to come and bazothatha imizimba yabantu abadutshulwe ko East Rand and so on. But at least Madiba's magic at the end worked.
85, 86, big Craddock 4 question, which you played a very central role in revealing the fact that of the brutality that was unleashed on the Craddock 4 and Matthew Goniwe, which you knew from your school days. There is a claim that the families, not just of the Craddock 4, but across many of these families, they are making a claim that the keynote address in your birthday on Saturday, President Mbeki politically interfered to stop the prosecution of the killers of Matthew Goniwe and many other combatants. You know both sides. What is your take?
Firstly, I think this allegation is a very serious one. And I don't think one must just comment loosely.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity for those who are claiming that Mbeki stopped this. There's an inquest which is taking place, and I'm sure those who are in charge of the inquest, they can summon Mbeki. I have my doubts, but the truth of the matter is that I don't know. We seem to started very well in 1994. And we put systems in place like Mbeki. These institutions were placed by himself, Chapter 9 institutions, courts, and so on. But somehow you find that there is a missing link when it comes to implementing. Word implementation tend to disappear in the air. So I think what will need to be done is for the Department of Justice summarize what happened, the stages, why the people are saying they have not been compensated, why the people are saying so-and-so was not prosecuted, although it was said. Then we will be able to trace as to who was doing that. And it can only be proven true when someone has taken an oath. So I'm not going to mislead your audience. But in terms of Matthew Koniwe, yes. Matthew Koniwe was a teacher at Holomisa High School. He was a personal friend of Advocate Dumisa Nsebeza, who was teaching me at Jongilizwe College. He used to visit Dumisa at our college. We sort of sawuthola kancane umhabulo nge-weekend klahleli nabo informally. But the signal of Matthew Koniwe came as a result of Colonel du Plessis, who was a liaising officer between Transkei Defence Force and SADF then. He came to me to say he wants to see Mr. Mandela, and that he can prove to Mr. Mandela that there is a third force. Remember that time we were talking about third force.
Yes.
So he came. I said, okay, before you I arrange the appointment, can we have meeting? So that I can brief him properly. So he gave me a brown envelope with a signal which said the Craddock 4 must be removed permanently from society, and their names were listed. So I took this to Madiba, and then it was written in Afrikaans. Madiba, I think he read it about an hour, just one page. Did it you understand Afrikaans better than me? Yes. Am I mistaken to interpret this? This is for them to be removed permanently. That means they must be killed. Yes. So then we arranged a meeting. I arranged a meeting for this chap to come to Joburg. We met at Carlton Hotel. Madiba came. Then he unpacked to Madiba how these decisions are taken and who sits at the Security Council. Interestingly, the name of F.W. de Klerk came up. That is part of the security. Well, he was part of Security Council in his capacity as a Minister of Education, and these were teachers, Koniwe and others. So, but eventually, I think after Boipatong massacre, if I'm not mistaken, Madiba called Zwelakhe Sisulu, myself. He was an editor of New Nation. Jimmy Siepe, brother to Sipho, as well as Enoch Sithole. They were writing for the New Nation. Madiba says, I want this to be splashed out in the whole world to prove that de Klerk is negotiating in bad faith. In fact, this is their policy to eliminate blacks. And then the rest is history. So in October, this coming October, I think I'll be testifying about that signal in the current inquest of Koniwe and others.
Yes, of the Craddock 4.
Yes.
If you've just joined us, Bantwana Benkosi, that's the voice of General Bantu Holomisa. We're going to try and tease the current affairs in the next 30 minutes. So don't go away. If you want to join the conversation as well, please do on 0861987000. We are with the birthday boy who just turned 70 years. 70 years. That's not a child's play. Lithwis likaThixo. Xa ungangena kweli cala le-7th floor. Izinyanya noThixo.
Konke nje.
Ya konke nje.
Zinigadi.
Ya.
Zinprotector nakula masela la.
It's time for the news, Bantwana Benkosi. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the military, state of the military at the moment. We're going to talk about Mqanduli and President Zuma's claims that he wanted to start a party with Bantu Holomisa, Julius Malema, Ace Mahashule. So stay tuned. We're going for the fireworks now. Welcome back, Bantwana Benkosi. We are still with General Bantu Bantubonke Holomisa, who is serving as the Deputy Minister of Defence and Military Veterans here in South Africa. And 0861987000 is our studio line if you have any questions or any matters to raise with him. Mnake General, yam ndifuna utsho kaloku at the birthday phaya uthi the dialogue conversation had to be pushed towards 1994 because the system was killing leadership. You seem to really believe in this 1994 moment to have been a product of dialogue. And that is really what made that society to change.
What we should not forget is that in a conflict between black and white in South Africa, militarily speaking, there was no winner. The leadership of the time decided to converge under one roof and sit around the table. And I remember at the time when we were drafting the constitution, other people were saying that it must be a constituent assembly and so on. And then eventually it was agreed that let us have election, but during that period it will be an interim constitution. The constitution must be drafted by the people who were elected. That's why you find that our constitution was only ratified or approved in 1996. But before that, the level of violence could, if it was not rescued that during that period, the chances are that we would still be fighting. Because other people would have gone back in exile and so on. But after we decided to talk, Chris Hani was part of the, for instance, I'll just make him as an example, was part of the CODESA. We were there together. But when he was assassinated, we flew up on Madiba from Umtata during that Easter weekend.
Yeah.
And then we were whisked away from the airport to Madiba addressed the nation live on SABC. SABC.
You were with him that night?
Yes. It was myself, Cyril Ramaphosa, Jill Marcus, and Joe Slovo. So we were together at the studio. But the country was on a knife edge because anything could have happened. So he managed to calm the situation. Then the Patriotic Front, which was negotiating, then opted for a date that the blood of Chris Hani cannot lie cheaply like this. We have to demand a date for election. So de Klerk was in a tight corner as well, and his team. Then they agreed. Fast forward, the constitution was adopted. And during that period, we were still yet to discuss or negotiate on issues like land, like economy, and so on, all these empowerment policies to address the backlogs and imbalances of the past. But if you read our constitution, almost everything is catered there. What we have failed so far, we have not produced legislation or implemented policies or implemented laws which we have been developing between 94 and now. So you can't point a finger at the failure of CODESA. I would differ with that. It's us who have been given a mandate to run these institutions instead of putting competent people in all these institutions, whether it's courts or where we failed the country. And that's why we are saying now, let us support this cause for a dialogue. It's worth getting a good dollar for years. City Marot. Let's go back and finish the business. We did not finish. And unfortunately, there have been these delays. But for now, I would suggest that let us swallow our pride, because if conflict as a South Africa, nobody can claim that he or she won militarily. So let us endorse this concept of sitting around the table and make sure that where we differ, we find each other, and where there's a consensus, those decisions, if there's a need to change anything, including constitution for that matter, because constitution is not cast in stone. So if there were to be changes, those recommendations from that dialogue should go straight to the cabinet and then to parliament. Parliament only for ratification, because we want to improve the situation of South Africa, the security of South Africa, the economy of South Africa, the education. Today, you can't tell me what are the pillars of our education.
So why doesn't the UDM then table a motion in Parliament?
Yes.
That says Parliament supports the national dialogue as a resolution of the House, and that its outcomes will be binding, to Parliament and to Cabinet, so that there is a guarantee on the part of our people that there is full cooperation, full support of the types of decisions that they're going to take through that dialogue.
Well, it's a good idea, but one has to be careful, because we want the whole nation to participate. Let this not be seen to being hijacked by so-and-so. But the principle, if that principle you are suggesting can be introduced during the talks,
I see.
To say, guys, this is not going to be a talk shop.
Yeah.
Resolutions from here must go to Parliament for ratification, not for political posturing again.
Yes.
Those who have not been in, who are not going to be part of dialogue, they will still have an opportunity, if they are members of Parliament, to raise those issues. But let us utilize this opportunity to make sure that we scan the road from 1994 up to now, and identify any inherent defects with a view to fix them.
GNU.
Yes.
Before we go there, I want us to have a nice path. The former President Zuma says, nahlala nonke. Nino Mahashule, Zungula, Floyd, and
Mntana wakhe Dalimpofu,
representing your parties.
Sonke ezigebenga zazihleli pha. Sonke zazipha.
What happened there? What was the conversation with JZ?
I had the privilege of being invited by a former president of this country. And he was proposing that there is a need to build an alternative because according to his assessment, the ANC has lost direction. So we were invited in his house, and then we discussed issues. But he was more of wanting us to collapse everything to form one contest election under one umbrella. But I proposed that no, it's fine, but we can contest election under a separate umbrella, but we retain our independence. Come up with a similar alliance you are seeing, which is running the country, SACP, COSATU, ANC. So we can do that. There's a precedence.
Yeah.
And then Msholozi said, okay, let's go away and think about this. And then another meeting came, second meeting. There was also one meeting which was attended by Azapo, yes, and PAC. But later on, everything faded away. Msholozi around September called me again. That was the last meeting. I think we spent about 2.5 hours, one-on-one.
2023.
Yeah. No, it was 23. And then he told me, Uguti, cha, Jengele, sengiyifalile le party wena, sengiyiregistrashile. Yini igama layo? Umkhonto wesizwe. It how? So uhambile. Dithi ke ngoku hey uzawuparticipate. Ushiyeke intoni 6 months or so. Athi Nxamalala yes ngiyayilontsha nge-16 kaDisemba. Hayi nathi ayibona ngoko. Hey wayilontsha uMsholozi into yakhe. 16 kaDisemba. The rest is history.
But babenivana ke.
Yeah.
How did you leave the fold to join GNU?
No, everybody, after the election results were announced, it was clear there was no outright winner. There are two things. It's either a coalition or a government of national unity. Sholozi participated in the formation, in the period leading to the elections of a president. They had a meeting, MK, with the ANC. EFF had a meeting with ANC. You must understand clearly that when they took a decision, for instance, EFF, to contest the presidency, the speaker, at that stage it was already clear that we are going towards a GNU. So they participated in those talks bilaterally. Where I hate politics is people when they become liars and misrepresent themselves. When they fail to get positions, some of these parties, and then they withdrew, they didn't participate in the GNU. When we were invited, I said, is there any need for small parties to be involved in the GNU? You have MK, P, you have EFF. Those two parties, those numbers are sufficient for ANC to work with. Because in terms of the policies and the original agenda, there's not much different. So, and then later on, we were invited. After the ANC NEC was reported, a report was tabled to them that they are not in agreement with MK, they are not in agreement with EFF, Therefore, the NEC took a decision to say, NEC of the ANC, no, let us open this and it be a government of national unity. The coalition between these three, including DA, is not going to work. That's how we got involved. So anybody oza kutshayela esinye story uzothi andivuse ngo-1 ekuseni land.
But how has it been? There are claims that Lesotho military has made recently about active camps in South Africa of people from Lesotho whose desire is to launch some form of a violent takeover of the land on behalf of Lesotho. And in answering that question, you sat in various portfolio committees over 30 years in Parliament. What is the state of our military now that you are on the other side? And should we worry about these camps? And are there more active illegal military activities on behalf of either other groups from elsewhere in the world, as we saw earlier with regards to those Middle East camps in Mpumalanga?
Well, the geopolitical situation of South Africa is, I would say, is fluid, especially after we declared in the open that we are going to defend the violation of human rights in the Middle East, and went to the extent of going to court. So we did not endear ourselves to Israel and USA. So you saw that when some South Africans, sadly, including some in the GNU, are reported to have been flying to Washington. And when you make an analysis of that nature, you categorize it in terms of security threats and so on. What do you read out of this? They may not come here, whoever, in whatever region, but they can have proxies if they want to destabilize South Africa. They would use such intelligence as people training inside the country, and you don't know what's going on. But so far, we have not yet, at least in my level, I'm just a poor deputy minister, so maybe at cabinet level they would know it better. But in terms of my poor analysis of the situation, if we are expecting any threat from anywhere, we mustn't expect that we will see people coming with trucks from Swaziland, Lesotho, and so on. But a civil or disobedience campaign can erupt inside the country, more or less on the same or even more scale than we saw in 2021 KZN mayhem.
What might trigger it? What issue will they use?
We served, both of us, remember, in the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence in Parliament. So there is a word called a decoy. You sell a decoy or you deceive. You would think someone is going to march in the cities and service protests and so on. And then all of a sudden, someone presses a trigger and then the bomb goes out. It's a motor car bomb. So we have to be very, very careful about such things. You use a certain incident. Yeah, we're marching against this, against that. And then third force comes into the real players. So what we need, therefore, is to make sure that we compare notes as intelligence agencies, police, crime intelligence, military intelligence, you name it. And at the end of the day, say no. But so far, I don't see any imminent threat, as I've said. But if it can come, it would come through such things as protests like
Civil unrest.
Civil disobedience.
What do you make of President Zuma's Morocco trip and statement?
Unfortunately, we have failed as a country to identify or agree or identify what I would call a national interest. We don't have a police. There's crisis. Everybody just does what he or she wants. Even in these trips, if you notice, by ministers, and nobody comes back and account as to what have we gained there, what are you suggesting. So the issue, therefore, of foreign policy, it needs at least that we apply a non-partisan approach. Non-partisan approach. Firstly, we have to inculcate a culture of ownership. South Africa is my country. I support the international positions and so on. For Zuma to go to Morocco, he's not a member of the ANC. ANC had a strong position on the question of Morocco, and they have demonstrated that they are not going to cooperate with them. So that problem must be addressed. But President Zuma, by going there alone, and then now is being attacked by the ruling party. But I hope that Zuma can be given a platform address into Morocco. Because even other countries currently, they are talking the folk tongue when it comes to Morocco.
In the continent.
In the continent. So what one needs to do is possibly you have the likes of Mbeki, Zuma, and President Cyril Ramaphosa to say, what role can we play in this? Because some of the countries now are conniving with Morocco, notwithstanding ukuthi practice and do a homeland system of some kind of oppression. So I don't have a position personally other than to endorse the current government policy, which is guided by AU as well as UN.
General Mqanduli, we're seeing a lot of arrests now. You have been fighting corruption for a very long time. Will you be going to the commission to expose some of the politicians you know work with drug cartels and criminals?
No, I've never come across with a politician who is involved in drugs. But those who were involved, you know it. I've been betting on that wicket, and I'm still occupying the crease. Do you know the cricket language? Yes. And I'm still occupying the crease.
Yes.
And during this period, I've hit many of them for fours, boundaries, and sixes. So I'm busy now within the Defence Force. I'm sure you have seen how the president has signed SIU declarations and so on, and military police and the Hawks. They're busy doing their work. So
within
defense,
corrupt
those who have
military personnel.
Yes, those who especially those who have been fingered by the Auditor General. So that process, I'm monitoring it on a daily basis. But when it comes to the country, if I get something, you know it, I publish on or Kwango, yolinto ngawuziqinisa nawe mfundini ngafunda. Hamba kwaza masela by parliament, yoli. So, but in terms of me being in the government of national unity, I still do my work. And I still write letters to various departments. Good day, there is a query like this. Recently, I was querying the issue of the spares for the presidential jets. And it didn't make noise, but everybody knows what I said. It's not for public consumption. So I do my work, Dad.
Yeah.
And there's no need for me to go to commission. Dine freedom yokuthetha.
From within.
Yes, from within and also outside.
That's General Bantu Holomisa.
Thank
you so much, General, and
thanks, Mfana.
Happy birthday. Agcina uThixo.
Nkosi,
Give you another 70 years.
Aye.